Hello again, everyone, and welcome to Quigley on Divorce, a behind-the-scenes look. I'm your host, James Quigley, and I am delighted to have my rock star partner here today to join us, Jordan Rosenberg.
Hey, guys.
So, been a little while since we've done some podcasts. For us, as you might imagine, actual work gets in the way from time to time. We have very busy schedules. We represent a lot of individuals, and our business requires a lot of us. And those of you that might have worked with us or working with us currently, you understand that we pay particular attention to our clients, try to provide white glove service as best we can, but it takes up a lot of our time. So we're glad to be here. And part of the impetus of us sitting down is really because we're at the holiday season again. And every year we try to, again, send a couple of messages with hopes that it resonates or just helps you through the holiday season. We just really would love to have your holidays be the best it could possibly be.
Agreed. And I think today it's important to refocus everybody and say, coming up to the holidays, what's most important, right? And focus on what's your family, your friends, your support, yourself. And I think the purpose of what we're talking today is just give a couple tips and top 3, top 5, just things for divorcing parents, people who are already divorced, or just for yourself or as human beings. So really good, I think, to refocus. And so kicking it off, James, tell your listeners, number one tip that you give to anybody either going through a divorce, post-divorce with a parenting agreement, or just a parent or individual in general.
Yeah. So that is so easy to me, will be very difficult for you if you're in the middle of this, which is call timeout. Freeze, hit the pause button. If you're thinking electronics, I think sports, it doesn't matter. What we're saying is think about it in the context of the sports arena. That's where my mind goes. It's highly competitive. You're in a battle, right? I'm not going to analogize that towards war, but you're going at it and you're giving your very all. The same happens in a divorce. And that's how we approach representing our clients. This is a battle. We're in this to fight for our clients. We're in this to win. But even within that, every single game, coach, players, they can call timeout. I need a break. I need to get some water. We need to call a play and reset, right? Whatever it is. Ask your lawyer, insist upon it, do whatever you need to do to call a timeout. Just stop. For the next month and a half, if we need to do anything behind the scenes, we can do that. I don't want to go to court. I don't want to fight over, is the pickup 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock? Is it the next morning? It's not worth it. It's really not worth it. And that's something where I think Jordan and I will both kind of, go down a couple layers because we advise as lawyers, but again, we have different perspectives and where we're at in life by having raised my 4 kids to where they're adults now. Jordan has the little kids. Right. And so you're at different points, but when you get to where I am, you sort of look back to where Jordan is and hopefully you remember, like I did, the joy, the magic of those moments of the holidays, the just quiet time spending with your family, the traditions, whatever your traditions are, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Hanukkah. It's important to allow yourself this moment to still enjoy those. And more importantly, to allow your children, if you have children, to let them just have that time out as well.
Yeah. And I think time out is a great word because it's like, it has a lot of different meanings in what we're talking about here. So time out on the conflict, right? Mm-hmm. If you conflict with your soon-to-be ex, with your former partner, it's time out on the conflict. Refocus on just the holidays. And like you were saying, there's no point to fight about whether the pickup's at 11 a.m. or 3 p.m. Be flexible, right? Get through the holidays. Time out on the conflict, right? And just prioritize flexibility, harmony, family presence, support system, and just enjoying that piece. And so, time out is in that aspect too. But also, like you said, time out for yourself. Recalibrate. We all get lost in the minutia of the day at work, et cetera. Take that time to kind of recenter your brain. And just like you were saying, the sports analogy, it's like, need a breather.
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
sit on, even LeBron, even Michael Jordan, they got to sit on the bench for at least a minute, right?
I would disagree with that. I don't think Michael Jordan ever did. LeBron, he seems to need quite a bit, but
there you go. Then you know what? Call a timeout and get a splash of water, and you're ready to roll.
Right.
But to me, that's I think what you said is really, really, really impactful in just kind of refocusing and kind of taking the time out there.
Something that you said, Jordan, harkens me back to I had a CLE seminar a couple of weeks ago, and there was a developmental psychologist that spoke to us. And one thing that really resonated from that presentation was the notion of some connection versus the time of the connection. And that gets lost in our business all of the time. Like I said before, I want to pick up at 9 o'clock. No, the tradition, we go to midnight mass or whatever. So we should bring back at midnight so that we can go and have the tradition of mass. And everybody gets caught up in that. So if there is some tradition, sure, that matters. If that extra 3 hours matters. But what this developmental psychologist was saying is that old adage that it's really quality over quantity, that the equivalent, and she talked about this in the context, for example, of a FaceTime. You don't have the kids this period of time, and so you want to have some connection. Certain ages, especially the younger kids, hey, daddy, how you doing? Hey, mommy, what's up? Hey, kid, how's your day? What did you do? Did you have fun? Great. It could be that simple. And we get people that fight and say, it was supposed to be a 15-minute call. It was supposed to be a 30. Guess what? Whether it was 2 minutes or 20 minutes, at least from this psychologist's perspective, it was the contact that mattered. That's what the kids need. They need that connection. You can't go, weeks and weeks and weeks without having a connection with the child. So consider that. If your spouse in a divorce says, boy, I'd like to pick up the kids a little bit early because I'd like to go to church Sunday morning or Christmas Day or to the synagogue or something, and it doesn't quite, the start time doesn't quite fit in the schedule, who cares? Who cares? And then enjoy the time that you have, and also take solace in the fact that your kids then are going to benefit from the peace that you've created without a fight, without a tension. You got to keep those things in mind.
Yeah. And I think even like in the context of a timeout, I mean, what else do you do in a timeout, right? You call a new play, right? So maybe it's a time where whatever behaviors you show with your partner, maybe that then carries on to the next chapter of your divorce or to the next thing. Or maybe you say, well, you know what? We were able to work together and figure out that 3 p.m. was fine. I actually was flexible. We can put down our, what our weapons and say, you know what? This is not something to fight about. We're spending time, we're spending money. We can figure this out on our own. And that timeout gives you, I think, that perspective to kind of recalibrate.
Yeah. And this, to me, sort of when you talk about the behind the scenes look, this is what the reality is of us as divorce lawyers. If you see us front and center, game is on, and it's about winning, and it's about winning aggressively. It's about results. And that for our clients is at our forefront. But the game within the game are those moments Jordan's talking about. You could get a win by pulling back and saying, I'm not going to fight you on this. Fine. Enjoy your time. You take that. Right. Now, rarely do people have the capacity in this type of dispute to then take that with gratitude and say, wow, that was a really nice gesture. Yeah. My spouse allowed me the extra couple hours. I'm going to reciprocate. In fact, it's frustrating because I've had clients come to me and say, you're always telling us wear the white hat, do the right thing. Right. And I did that, and I did it, and I did it. And I never get that reciprocity. You know who gets it? It's your children, if you have children. The other spouse may know it and is never going to recognize that. So you don't do it for getting something in return for the other spouse, because that's probably not going to happen. You do it because, hey, it's a gesture of goodwill during this timeout. I feel good about that. I feel good about what that provides for everybody's opportunity. But I do think it's a difficult thing in the context of these battles where, you're literally fighting for every aspect of what you're entitled to in a divorce.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's really it kind of dovetails into our, I guess, point two. And my point two would be present and be available and be with your family mentally, physically, and spiritually. I mean, you were just talking about, we were talking before this, is how different our Thanksgivings look. And, I have 2 little kids. James has 4, grown children, and my Thanksgiving is a mess. I'm at 3, 4 different places. Sometimes I'm running around. It's chaotic. It's whatever. But, when you kind of peel it all back, and I was saying this before when we were talking, but I heard something recently where, someone said, if think about your 85-year-old self, your 90-year-old self, and you look back at these moments in the chaos when you had a 3 and a 1-year-old and you're running around, and how much would you appreciate reliving that as somebody elderly back in the day and really enjoying those moments at that time? And that brought a lot of perspective to me. And, even in the moment when it's chaotic and you're all over the place and you're like, I just want to go home and sit on the couch. I mean, enjoy that and feel that and be present for that. And, that I think brought a lot of perspective and presence, and enjoying during this timeout period. Really awesome for people to kind of keep on the forefront.
Well, that's that play on words, presence, right?
Yep.
We think about it and all of the material junk that we get involved in during these holidays, but your presence is really what matters. And,
Yep.
Just from a personal standpoint, it is interesting. He talks about an 85-year-old self. Well, my father's a little beyond that, and my father's now in a nursing home. So the time that I spend with him, with whatever time we have available, is the present that I receive, just to be able to still enjoy those times with him. That, to the extent he understands I'm there, he appreciates that. And that's a present to him far greater than anything else. And the point being is, there's only so many Christmases, Hanukkahs, Thanksgivings, whatever, that we're all going to have. So if you're in the middle of something now, don't sacrifice one because of what's going on in your marriage, which is very, very difficult. And a lot of this stuff, again, we may sound preachy and may sound like, it's just go do these things.
Right.
But we recognize it's not the purpose of us having this conversation, is because if we resonate with one viewer out there that says, you know what, I'm going to try to do things differently. I'm going to try to call that time out. Even if it's not well received, or at least I can say, this is what I tried to do this year.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, it's just like, there's just so much in that, but I mean, and I kind of bringing it back to the presence. And I love the analogy, not the analogy, but the real life situation with your dad. And I mean, it's just like, it's not preachy. It's more like just reminding everybody, and it's more common sense than anything. It's like, these are the basic principles which with somebody should live, right? Be present, take a time out, don't fight, focus on your kids. And it gets lost in the monotony of the day and in the work schedule and in the divorce proceedings. And so, in conjunction with all that, sort of interesting, something you're really big on, James, put your phone away, right? Like, it's this amusement park in your hand that's got lights and all kinds of stuff. And like, everybody's posting their turkey on Instagram. Nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
Right. So it's like, focus on your turkey and your kids and your family and your support, and like, put the phone away, and you'd be shocked about how much more you're absorbing and you're enjoying it and you're living in the moment with your just phone in the other area. And we have a partner who literally has like a box that you got to enter a code, and it's got like a 2-hour thing on it. Put the phone in the box, put it away, and just be present.
Yep. Yours and the kids.
Yeah.
I mean, here's my holiday suggestion to you. Get a puzzle. Now, many of you maybe have built puzzles, and that's a family thing. I can tell you that is always, since the time I was a kid, around the holidays, we'd have a separate table over there, and would be one of those 500,000 piece puzzles of whatever, right? It could be a landscape. It could be anything, right? And what it is, it's just a time where you're sitting around a table and you're kind of making jokes. You're looking for, we got the frame built out. We're doing this. I historically, as a kid, would accidentally drop one on the floor so that when you're down to the last piece,
Oh, where is it?
I wake up the next morning and I finish the puzzle off. That's my competitive side. But it really is something that is generational. It requires, put the stuff aside. It seems so simple. You know, you got the football game going in the background. You've got a puzzle out there. There's always good stuff to eat. It is the blessing within the simplicity, I think, is something that if you can find a way to tune out the white noise. I like Jordan's, thing about the shiny, bright, shiny lights. It's just that shiny object, and our kids are like that. Some of the, you have little kids, right?
Yeah.
They know how to use these phones and tablets and stuff. They're 2, 3, 4 years old. And they already are addicted to this stuff. So really good advice. And that, to me, I would carry that beyond holidays. And if you have a parenting schedule, and this is hard because you don't want to be the parent who doesn't let the kids have unfettered access, right? Because then your kids are going to get mad at you. I don't want to go to dad's house. He makes us put the phones away for dinner on Sunday night. It'd be nice if mom and dad, or mom and mom, dad and dad, whatever your situation is, if you had some basic agreements as to respecting the other's parenting decisions. But I agree, if you can find the time to just, like I said, tune out the white noise a little bit of what the world throws at us constantly, and just simple stuff, games, cards. I mean, we used to play cards. I mean, that kind of stuff. Nobody wants to do it. Then all of a sudden you start doing it and everyone's laughing. Everyone's having a good time.
Yeah. I got the next tip.
Fire away.
My next tip is make the best of what you have, right? And so sort of a broader point, but in a lot of these multifamily situations, like something with my family that I personally experienced, and a lot of our clients, obviously, is you don't necessarily have your family on the day, right? So sometimes your kids will be with your partner. Sometimes they're not going to be with you. And that's fairly typical in pretty much every split parenting situation. You alternate the holidays. So what I tell my clients is I say, look, it doesn't really matter the day. Like Thanksgiving Day is a day and it's recognized as a day of celebration, but why can't you have your own Thanksgiving the next day,
Friday,
or the next weekend, right? When it's your time, and your kids don't know the difference. They just get to eat turkey twice, right? And you have your own, traditions and establish your own thing. And there's nothing wrong with that. And to me, it's the same principles that we're talking about in just a different time. So enjoy yourself, maybe, or your family, or whatever you're doing, or whoever you're with on your day for yourself. And then with your family and your kids, create your own traditions.
Yeah. I love that. And we've talked about that quite a bit.
Definitely.
It's always an issue just by virtue of the fact that you got married, right? Your two spouses, you have two different families. So it's already going in different directions while you were married. It gets more complicated even after divorce, because then sometimes one of the divorced spouses gets remarried. And
Right.
now all of a sudden there's a pull to go to that spouse's family and that spouse's new family. And you're over here sitting there saying, well, how does that involve my kids or my schedule? And it's tough on kids, right? Even grown kids. You have to deal with that, where you say, we have to go to this, and this all on the same day. So
Right.
imagine how can you even do 3 Thanksgivings in a day?
Oh, I'll tell you.
I mean, and not gain 30
Right.
pounds,
No,
but I mean,
exactly.
it's just what a miserable kind of
Yeah.
experience. So again, these are things that are hard to do, but what I think it gets down to is you have control over your life. And that's really what we preach in divorce to our clients. The process of divorce is somewhat, or can be somewhat, cathartic if you can take some of these concepts and integrate them into your next life and say, I've got control over my life. I don't have to please everybody. I don't have to be to everybody's Thanksgiving. Or, hey guys, guess what? I get it. I'll be there on Thursday, but feel free to come over. This side, everybody come over, because on Friday we'll do a turkey. Maybe this time we'll fry it instead of baking it, whatever.
Right.
But you have some control over that. And if you don't take control over that, you're going to be ultra stressed out. Your kids are going to be stressed out. And you're missing all of these little points about living in the moment and appreciating the time you have and making the time you have quality time. And it could be that too, where, if you do got to bounce around a little bit, go and make a cameo, say hello, stop in, give your family, friends a hug and a kiss and say, hey, after an hour, we got some obligations. People will be just happy to see you. So
Yep.
don't overdo it.
Yeah. And to your point earlier, I mean, that's an interaction on a very special day.
Correct.
So it's like, whether it's for an hour, whether it's for 2 hours, whether it's for 15 minutes, everybody's giving a hug, kiss. And if you have to go on your way, at least you have that connection.
Yeah.
You maintain that little bond. And it's that moment that, oh yeah, I remember last year they came by, we threw the football for a few minutes, we ate the drumstick at turkey. I mean, who knows? But like, it's that interaction that's really meaningful.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I'm going to add another thing. It's going to diverge probably from everything we're just saying to you.
Nice. Let's go.
As it's again, we don't turn it off. It's hard to turn it off, right? The case, even during a timeout, as your lawyers, it's like the coach.
Right.
The coach doesn't get a breather. In fact, during the timeout, the coach is the one who comes in. Now I got to, hey, this is what we're going to do. We're going to shift the offense. We're going to do this on defense.
Yep.
Okay, I'm the one now. I've got to redirect while everyone's getting the water bottle and the towels. So while you're planning to sort of decompress or what have you, my advice is circle back with your attorney and say, all right, what do I need to do? What do I need to focus on, if anything, during the holidays? What's immediately following? Because you know what happens? January 2 hits and all of a sudden chaos. We're right back to the real world. Everything is go, go, go. New year, New Year's resolution. I'm going to the gym. I'm doing all this stuff. It's chaos. So be prepared. So that, is sort of, if you had whatever number we on, number 4, it's be prepared.
Yeah.
Right. There may be some things that you could actually do while it's a little downtime. Maybe you've got off of work for your week, for a week or two, your own vacation time, and the kids for part of that are going to be with the other spouse. Great. Now that I don't have to worry about all the things I have to worry about the office, I can sit down. I can gather these documents that my lawyer and paralegal have been hounding me to get. I can review this stuff that they sent me. I can do it where I actually can focus a little bit. That's okay. Right? The game keeps going. You had your time out. Man, it was great Hanukkah. We had a nice celebration, big dinner. Hey, Thanksgiving, Christmas Day, Christmas morning, all that stuff. Now it's December 27th. Kids aren't back to school, but they're with mom. Okay. What can I do to be productive? Because I think that'll also actually help you if you can say, I'm moving the ball forward. Even in these quiet moments, I'm able to address some of the things that I haven't been able to get to because of life, because of the kids, because of work. So be prepared. Go into them with a plan. Check the boxes. What can I get done?
Yeah, that's awesome. Awesome advice. And at least personally, I subscribe to that too, where, in order for me to be present, to enjoy family, to do all the things that we were talking about, the other part of my life, right, in work and managing emails and being proactive, if that's completely in chaos, then that unfortunately, but I guess fortunately, impacts the other part of my life and being present. So if you have this divorce happening and life just doesn't stop during the holidays as much as we're making it seem like it does, and nobody's just sitting in their couch for 72 straight hours and just kind of watching football. But if you use that time to be proactive and not let things mount and think about, well, I'm just going to turn my brain off and then I'll deal with it with the chaos, like you said, January 2. If you kind of methodically get through that stuff and be prepared and get rid of some of the stuff that's hanging over your head, I think you'll find that even those moments with your family, with your support system, I mean, that will be more enjoyable because the other stuff is under control. Mm-hmm. Right. And so I think that's of all the tips, I think that's really practical, awesome advice. If you're in a divorce or really in any situation, is just take care of some of the administrative stuff while things are slow. Yep. You're not getting pounded with emails, clear your desk, big cup of coffee, just knock it out.
Yep. Go into the new year, clean slate, more organized, I'm prepared.
Yep.
My last tip is going to be to do something, whatever that something is. And I will, again, my own experiences when, 25 years ago, I wasn't in the same position I am today economically, right? Starting your career, raising children, 4 children, We didn't have a lot of money. We weren't taking fancy European vacations and these type of things, but it could be as simple as going to a water park for a weekend. I remember I hated that. You're in there. It's just, they're brutal, but the kids love it. They're in there screaming. They're running around. For them, it's a vacation. It's a getaway. You don't have to spend a ton of money, right? The kids are off school an inordinate amount of time. And, if your kids are older and they got a job and they can at least work, hustle up a little buck, that's great. They got their friends, they're driving, whatever. But otherwise, you're there. In a divorce, everybody's conscientious about money, this, that, and other. You know what? I'm not saying, go to Aruba and spend 20 grand. I'm saying do something that is just an experience, because I can tell you, I've done this. My birthday was in October. We sat around with my kids and they start joking and laughing about experiences we had when they were kids. And you start talking about, what was your favorite trip or vacation? Some of the stuff was so simple from an adult's perspective. And I had friends that, would let me use their place in Florida. Great.
Right.
We go there. It's got a swimming pool. That's it. And they're just splashing around all day, every day, having the time of their life. It's simple. So that would be my last really tip during the holidays. If you can get away and do something, it doesn't have to be magnanimous. It could be something where it's just you with the kids. Maybe like I used to do, my sister had kids, my kids' age. We'd meet up somewhere. We'd do something, you get the hotel room for a couple of nights, you get pizza in the room. It's just like Jordan was saying, a lot of it is chaotic,
Right.
But it is those moments that you're creating the memories. You want your children, just like hopefully all of you had, like we had, we can look back on your lives and say, I remember some of those fun things we used to. When I was a kid, we could go camping. It was like literally that was the vacation we had.
Yeah.
And camping was what? You sit around, back then there were no phones, you sit around the fire and you roast a marshmallow. Like, but it was fun because you were there. People told stories, people told jokes, and you were with family. So do something would be my last tip.
Yeah. Again, awesome. And I think, again, that's a big, broad net. And I think doing something not only with your kids, with your family, creating those memories, but doing something for yourself. And what I mean by that is you can kind of sign up for the gym, you can do something and better yourself, but even springing into the new year, set a goal, set some goals for yourself, set parenting goals, set personal goals, set fitness goals, set a goal where you're kind of creating your mind to act towards something that you want to be better. You want to be better as a parent, as a dad, as a mom, as a partner, as something, right? Set a goal. And again, just kind of doing something and adding some purpose to that holiday. Impactful.
I think that's a great way to kind of wrap things up, because then that's something we've done, right? Just our team, where we've had kind of start the new year. Hey, we all sit down, have handed out, index cards and said, here, take a couple of minutes and just write down 1, 2, 3 personal goals, 1, 2, 3 professional goals, whatever. And you do that. I'm just a big believer in that. And you've subscribed to that.
Totally.
When first of all, you have to have the goal. If you don't have a goal, if you don't have a plan, like Jordan said, during the quiet time of the holidays, if you're off work for a couple of days or your kids are with the spouse, use that time for a little introspective look and say, what have my goals been to this point in my life now that I'm getting a divorce? Okay, maybe those are changing because you're going to get a divorce. Maybe you never really had a plan or a goal. And now's the time to think, okay, my life's going to be different. It's not what I envisioned or I thought when I said till death do us part, but now here we are. And so I love that idea of coming in. If New Year's resolutions, I don't even, I resolve to do this. Nobody does that. I hate going to the gym for the first couple of months because you got all these, I did the New Year's, signed up, it's gym's crowded. It's just a bunch of people. And all of a sudden, February, March, it's just back to normal.
Right.
So, but if there's something that you really want to come to fruition, I think the words you speak, the thoughts you think translate into action. It's what happens in your life. I just believe that. I'm one of these guys, I'll admit that my Instagram thing, I look on the reels. I love those motivational deals, right? Doing the same thing all day, every day, be repetitive in it, right? Every day you're doing something the other guy or the other gal's not. Push yourself outside of your comfort zone, do something a little differently, but work towards something. And I think that will give you an energy, because then when the divorce is over, a lot of people struggle because the divorce is over. I don't have that connection anymore. It's done. I mean, I'm sort of relieved, but I'm also lost.
Right.
I don't know where to go from here. Use this time now. I love that as kind of a wrap up to, some of these thoughts and ideas during the holidays. As always, if you're in a difficult time, unfortunately, we get a lot of calls immediately, sometimes even during, but oftentimes immediately following the holidays, because it's kind of that last straw. It's that realization when you sit down and you see what's happening, and this isn't the blessing I want for my children or for myself. This isn't, whatever, this isn't going to work. If you're contemplating that these holidays, I still think try to incorporate some of these strategies and tips that we're providing you. But also what I would do is maybe focus a little more heavily on that strategic point, that what are my goals? And if one of the goals is I really need to call Quigley or Rosenberg and have a conversation, I need to understand, what are my rights? What are my obligations? What does this look like if the marriage that I've been in, it's just not going to work? We've tried counseling. We've talked to our rabbi. We've talked to our priest, our spiritual advisor of whatever the sort, and it's just not going to happen. It's not going to work. Then make sure you get good advice. And that's kind of the final thought is if the holidays are just helping you come to a conclusion and you need help, give us a buzz. If you need to at any point in time, contact us. My email address is jmquigley@beermannlaw.com. That's B as in boy, EERMANN. And my direct extension 312-621-1225. Jordan, if someone wants to give you a call, your direct extension.
Sure. It's just, my email is jrosenberg@Beermann Law, same way, and 312-262-2567.
Have a great holiday season. And I hope this helps. If you want to reach out to us, do so anytime.
Thanks.